Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Ryan McClenahan. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, Prime Minister Julia Gillard visits Blacktown, Parramatta set to lose its direct weekday ferry service to Sydney, and exploring the similarities between Afghanistan and Australia in Liverpool. But first, peak hour traffic was thrown into chaos across Western Sydney on Friday after a milk tanker slammed into a shopfront at Croydon. The truck driver died at the scene on Parramatta Road following the crash about 11:30 p.m. on Thursday. A number of residents living above the shop were evacuated as a precaution. The smash closed both directions of the road until Friday morning. Traffic on the M4 approaching Parramatta Road queued back 5 kilometres during the morning peak, and motorists were advised to delay their travel as other roads became congested. Prime Minister Julia Gillard promised to consider allowing Sikh people to wear turbans at work sites and while riding a motorcycle during a visit to the Blacktown area this week. Ms Gillard toured the Gurdwara Sahib Sikh temple at Glenwood with Greenway MP Michelle Rowland. She is the first Prime Minister to ever visit the temple, which is the largest in the country. Australian Sikh Association officials raised their concerns with her about Sikhs being prohibited from wearing turbans. She told community members gathered at the temple that she would work with them to try and address the requests. Temple trustee spokesman Balvindir Singh Chahal says turbans have been found to offer good protection in several studies.
The Australian Sikh Association is a charitable organization involved in charitable work in the local community and at an international level too. So we run various programs for the welfare of the community, welfare of the youth, plus for the needy.
He says the community would also like to seek the inclusion of the Punjabi language and history in the national curriculum. Parramatta is set to lose its direct weekday ferry service to Sydney. The state government has announced plans to replace it with a shuttle service from Rydalmere during peak hours on weekdays. Parramatta Chamber of Commerce Vice President Roger Byrne says axing the ferry to the CBD is a short-term view. Transport Minister Gladys Berejiklian says there will be more frequent services to other points along the Parramatta River. The new timetable comes into effect in October. Sutherland Shire Council has approved a 900-seat meeting hall as a place of worship for the exclusive Brethren. The proposal is located in bushland on the edge of the Royal National Park at Heathcote and attracted 1,300 objections. The council chalked up a legal bill of more than $117,000 in an unsuccessful attempt to stop the development. The move comes just months after Wollondilly Council approved a meeting room at Camden Park for up to 200 Brethren devotees. The Heathcote facility will cost more than $1 million to build. The widow of a paramedic killed during a cliff rescue is pushing for better financial protection for families of emergency workers. Gamia Bay paramedic Michael Wilson died during a helicopter cliff rescue south of Wollongong last Christmas Eve. His widow Kelly and the New South Wales Health Services Union are separately lobbying the state government to make it easier for specialist rescue paramedics to get income protection and life insurance. A report into the accident was released last week by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau. It found that because of fading light, the experienced paramedic and his patient were inadvertently dragged off the rugged cliff ledge before plunging 15 metres into water. Mr. Wilson was the first New South Wales paramedic to die on duty in 30 years. The injured canyoner was eventually winched to safety and taken to hospital. Parramatta's rich history is set to be shown off to the world by British actor Tony Robinson. Best known for his role as Baldrick in the cult comedy Blackadder, Robinson will bring his series Tony Robinson's Time Walks to 10 new locations in Australia and New Zealand. One of the Australian episodes puts the spotlight on Parramatta, exploring sites including the Female Factory, Parramatta Stadium and the Ferry Wharf. Robinson says he chose to film in Parramatta because he found it an interesting city.
You had Port Jackson down the road and everyone assumes that, oh, Sydney exploded. No, it was Parramatta that was the centre of the universe for huge numbers of early European Australians.
In the episode, Robinson tells the local tale of the Flying Pie Man, who gained a reputation for making long-distance walks in rapid time to sell his pies.
He would walk really fast all the way down to Sydney, and then he would overtake the boat and flog a second round of pies when he got to the other end.
Tony Robinson's Time Walks will air early next year. Auburn Botanic Gardens is celebrating the change in season and colour with the Autumn Colours Festival this weekend. Gardens curator Greg Hodges says autumn is a very special time at the gardens.
It's when I think the gardens look their best with all the vibrant colours that are on display. So to celebrate this time of year, we've joined it together with art exhibitions and local performances by local artists.
Over 2 days, visitors will have the opportunity to view artworks, participate in workshops, and join guided tours around the gardens. But Mr. Hodges says the main attraction at the festival is the trees.
The pistachios and liquid ambers for their yellow colours, the Japanese maples for their red colours, the quercus for their orange colours.
Thousands of people are preparing to celebrate Buddha's birthday at the Mingwai Chinese temple in Bonnyrigg. The birth of Shakthupa Buddha, believed to have occurred 2,500 years ago, is marked by bathing a small Buddha with fragrant water. Community spokesman James Chan says the ceremony held in Australian temples is similar to those in China and other Buddhist countries.
We use the flower to pay respect to the god, and that's what you're doing. And we have over 1,000, I think over 2,000 or 3,000 people coming.
Mr. Chan says there is a growing interest in Buddhism in Australia because it is a religion welcoming to outsiders. He says the temple has grown substantially from its beginnings in a small wooden house.
The temple is, we should say, the second biggest one in New South Wales, and then we're getting more and more people coming. And we all our members and try to do our best to look after the community.
More than 2,000 families come to the temple, and the organisation also works to help those less fortunate in the community. Young refugees in southwest Sydney are sharing their stories of survival and search for a better life through performing art. The students took part in Tree of Life, a series of drama therapy and storytelling workshops held at Casula Powerhouse Art Centre. The young people were from Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran and Serbia, and went to high schools in Sydney's southwest. The program aimed to help them recover from the trauma of their past. Sutherland Shire beekeepers are making dire predictions not only for the future of their operations, but for crop production. A foreign insect pest called the varroa mite is moving closer to Australia, putting at risk crops including pumpkins, squash, zucchini, apples and pears. Bees die after contact with the mite, leaving fewer bees for pollination, and all 7 types of Australian bees are susceptible to it. Engadine resident and treasurer of Illawarra Beekeepers Association, Ivan McMillan, says effective border control may be the only way to stop the mite. And in sport, the Parramatta Eels will travel to Mudgee to play the Gold Coast Titans on Sunday. Chris Sandow says the game might be a tough one because Titans are big scorers, but the Eels owe them a defeat from when they last met. He says the Eels are working on lifting their form.
I think it's a bit up and down at the moment, but hopefully we can start clicking together as a team.
He says the team plan to play a more aggressive game on Sunday.
Mudgee's a small town, but so hopefully we'll get a good crowd there on Sunday.
Co-captain Rennie Matua says the team feels privileged to take the game to the bush because it's important to look after footy in regional Australia. The game kicks off at 3 p.m. 12 months ago, doctors told Brett Murray he may never walk again, but next month he'll compete in the Cairns Ironman triathlon. Mr. Murray ruptured a disc and was told he risked paralysis if he didn't have immediate surgery. But he rejected the surgery and started seeing a physiotherapist. The Glenwood resident credits resilience and tenacity with getting his mobility and fitness back and wants to complete the triathlon to raise awareness about bullying. Mr. Murray was a victim of chronic bullying as a child, but is now a motivational speaker who runs anti-bullying seminars in schools. Schools from the Penrith region are facing off in a friendly football competition honouring rugby league legend Mark Geyer. The Mark Geyer Cup is an 8-week competition giving Penrith students an opportunity to experience rugby league at a local level. 16 schools have entered teams in this year's inaugural competition in the under-14s, under-16s and open age groups. Penrith Panthers legend Mark Geyer, who represented New South Wales, says he's humbled to have the cup bear his name. The former Kangaroo grew up in Penrith and says he will continue working with the NRL to grow the game in the region. NRL Game Development Manager Andrew Hill says the relationship between grassroots clubs and the Telstra Premiership teams is important for rugby league. Mr. Hill also says it's important to acknowledge local past champions for what they do on and off the field to ensure the game thrives in Western Sydney. Weightlifters Scott Hill and Rayleigh Lyons will represent Australia at the Powerlifting World Championships in Russia next month. Hill, from Rosemeadow, is the top-ranked powerlifter in the 93kg class. Training partner Lyons, from Macquarie Fields, is a multiple record holder in the 52kg female category. Both recently won the Australian Championships in Melbourne and are in peak form heading into the World Championships. Australian-born soccer player Spiros Agathos will play for New Zealand against his country at the Under-17s World Cup later this year. The Cecil Hills teenager was selected for the elite level World Cup after he recently played 5 championship games for the Kiwis. The 17-year-old can play for New Zealand because his mother was born across the Tasman. Spiros plays for the Newcastle Jets Youth League team. And finally, despite the distinct geographical and cultural differences, a new exhibition explores similarities between Afghanistan and Australia. Landlock at the Casula Powerhouse Art Centre reflects the stories of the significant Middle Eastern cultures now a part of the region's identity. Casula Powerhouse director Kirsten Fishburne says the exhibition is an opportunity to show the diversity of what Afghani-Australian artists are producing.
We were really interested in looking at some issues that Australians might not necessarily think are relevant here, but are, and those are identity, refugee situation, migrancy, a whole range of things that are experienced currently in the Middle East that also then, of course, have an impact on our local community.
Feedback for the exhibition has been positive.
Artists from migrant backgrounds and non-English speaking backgrounds are working in an extremely professional and visually exciting sense. It's not just community-based art.
The exhibition will also include works by Sean Gladwell, the official Australian war artist in 2009, whose art focuses on ordinary soldiers in harsh landscapes. And that's all for this week's bulletin. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. I'm Ryan McClanahan. We'll see you next time.